Sam has a dinner, and he says at the dinner, though, that there could be an AI bubble that's taking place. Do you believe there's an AI bubble? And I say that in the context that there's apparently a secondary sale of some of your private stock that some of your employees may be trying to sell at a $500 billion valuation. Oh, an exclusive interview with OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Friar, at the table. It's nice to see you.
Is the AI bubble bursting? So there's been a ton of news lately. We've seen Meta announce that they're scaling back their AI investment. We saw a stock market crash earlier in the week in tech stocks as people are afraid AI is being overvaluated. Palantir stock crashed. And also there was a very interesting article that came out where Sam was having dinner with a journalist and he said that he believes AI is in a bubble. And so when you're the leader of OpenAI, whose mega valuation is purely based on AI not being a bubble, you don't want to be saying things like that. So to do cleanup, they brought in the OpenAI CFO onto CNBC, talk with Andrew Sorkin, and she had a very interesting interview, to say the least. So let's take a look.
Joining us right now, though, at the table, this is not gray at all. An exclusive interview with OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Friar, at the table. It's nice to see you.
I don't know what that expression just was, and I don't blame her. Like, when you're a corporate person and then you're forced to do these national TV interviews that you never thought were probably gonna be part of your job, like it's like early Mark Zuckerberg and those what was it, American Trials, whatever. Like, you just look like a robot, and compared to your interview host, who's as smooth as butter because he's on there every day, like it's just hilarious to watch how stiff and like corporate drone like people can be on TV. I'd probably be the same, so I'm not even judging. It's hilarious to me.
We talked to Sam just about 2 weeks ago now when ChatGPT 5 launched. There was a little bit of consternation in the week since about sort of what is going on with the model.
That's a Cope smile. Yeah, the ChatGPT 5 launch, people were really upset about it. People thought this was going to be the next coming of God with AI, and it wasn't. It was like a model picker that picks the model for you, and they didn't do a great job there. And a lot of people were like, I like my old model. That does it better. Can we switch back to that? And then they got the CFO being like, hey, your model sucked when it came out or didn't meet expectations. Thoughts? That's what's happening right now.
Some shifts in the model. I will say that it seems like it's gotten a little bit better from some of the problems that first emerged right out of the gate. Have you been experiencing this?
Yeah, so when he's saying it got a little bit better, everyone at OpenAI is working 9-9-6, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. And that's like on a good week. So you can imagine those poor OpenAI software engineers and product managers. They have to go do cleanup crew after the launch. And yeah, at that point, it's probably 9-9-7. It's probably 8-10-7. I don't feel bad about the checks they're making, right? But I do feel bad for them as people because that's brutal.
So, I mean, I think with any launch, when you have 700 million weekly active users, you start to find people are very opinionated. They've come to love their ChatGPT. And frankly, as we've released things like memory, it's become more and more your ChatGPT.
I wouldn't have used those words if I was her. Love your ChatGPT. There's actually a whole movement right now of people falling in love with their ChatGPT. And they were furious when ChatGPT 5 came out because it took away all of their lovers' personality, their sycophantic personality. So yeah, just don't bring up loving your ChatGPT on national television because that's a whole separate issue, in my opinion.
I want to understand what you think has happened in the last week. I know Cursor's obviously taken this on and has made it its default.
Yes.
But what are you hearing and what kind of reaction are you getting from the coding community?
So developer outcome was actually great. I think our numbers were up something like 50% just week over week on the number of tokens and so on being used.
Okay, so she just tried to use the number of week over week. The amount of tokens being used is up 50% since the launch. Misleading number in a few ways. One, on a product launch, you're always going to see a massive boost because everyone wants to try it out. I did that. I went on there. I tried it out. Secondly, the new model, which I think she just said has a lot more memory. I mean, to build a better model, it has to take in more information, and that uses a lot more tokens. So per prompt, the new model is using more tokens as well. Saying they're using 50% more tokens just after launch when each new prompt now requires more tokens, I don't know if that's the best stat that I would use.
So tell me about this.
Motion.
Sam has a dinner, I believe, out in San Francisco.
He does.
And he says at the dinner, though, this is the famous dinner in the last week, where he says that there could be an AI bubble.
I wish I could get invited to these San Francisco dinners. Like, I feel like we've all heard about a story about these, these billionaires that get together, billionaires and journalists, and they yap like, about the future of how we're all going to be robots or something. Like, I just feel like it would be the closest I've seen to that was when Brian Johnson had that dinner with the Kardashians. Like, I would pay a lot of money to sit at these dinner tables and just enjoy the show, like more than I would to go to a concert or something, truly.
That's taking place. Do you believe there's an AI bubble? And I say that in the context that there's apparently a secondary sale of some of your private stock that some of your employees may be trying to sell at a $500 billion valuation.
That is a disgustingly high valuation. So what he's saying there is a secondary sale stock. So basically, if you're an employee, if you're truly invested, if you're a true believer, you're going to hang on to that stock until the IPO, maybe beyond the IPO. But what a lot of employees are doing, according to Andrew Sorkin, apparently, they're trying to sell their shares now, valued at $500 billion, to get that check. And I mean, if you're going out and getting a multi-million-dollar check, I'm not going to hate. But it's like a bearish signal, because if you truly believed in the exponential trajectory of the company, why in the world would you sell right now?
So first of all, I think what Sam said and what I fully agree with is we think AI is the biggest thing, the biggest era that we've seen to date, right? Those of us who've had the benefit of living through the internet era coming upon us, mobile era, AI is bigger than all of that. And I don't think any of that is slowing down.
Deflection. So is AI a bubble? Well, AI is the biggest thing right now. You could have said the same thing about NFTs in 2021.
In terms of, can there be moments where people invest in things that don't come to fruition? Absolutely. Happens in every era. And I think that's what Sam was saying, is that there will probably be investments made that are not the best of investments, but we still feel like the AI era is upon us and that we're leading the pack.
So what she's saying is, Sam meant all your other little shitty startups that are, your little coding startup or your little design UX startup that's based on AI. Like all the people who are investing in that, your stuff's going to shit. It's going to zero. All right. But we at OpenAI, we're going to capture that value. We're going to make the money. So Sam's talking about all the small fish. We're the big fish. We're the whale. Don't you get it, Andrew? We're the whale.
Let me ask you something, actually. As somebody who thinks about that, there's a lot of people who are trying to create startups. AI-related startups and just other startups. And what kind of moat anybody is going to have around any kind of business in the future, given that arguably, if this works as well as it's supposed to, I should be able to build anybody else's company and break through tomorrow.
There's no moat. There's no moat anymore. Like, why build any tool when, in theory, if the promise of AI is going to come, like anyone can build anything?
So I think a couple of things, when I talk to VCs in particular, I always ask this question because they're thinking about their portfolio. And so what I look for in an investment around AI right now is, number one, are you solving a real problem? It sounds really trite, but sometimes I think people try to solve problems that don't really exist in the world. Second, is there a true business process that's quite complicated? I think in a lot of cases, people are looking for the shiny, bright object, but there's a lot of just hardcore, like in my world, like finance, that now can be done agentically with really complex business processes.
These VCs ask me, are all my other investments going to go to zero? I say, you losers. Why are you investing in anybody but us? That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you a data question, because people have also talked about if you have the data, that can be a super valuable component part. I had long thought that Google should be the winner of this whole ballgame because it has my email, it has my calendar going back almost 2 decades practically, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. And yet, one of the things that's happened even in the last couple months now is you, ChatGPT, and by the way, Anthropic and others, can effectively port in to that same data stream. Now, so there's 2 questions. One is, should Google be allowing anybody to port into that data stream? That's what the customers are demanding, so they think they need to do it. I don't know if you would do it. And B, if that's the case, it may very well be that this idea that data is the sort of gating factor. Data will always be the gating factor, but it may be that those who have the data are going to have to open it up to everybody.
Yeah, look, I think when customers say it's not Google's data and it's not, any software data, it's my data, right? This is what I've done with my employees, with my customers, and so on. So we've all built connectors in.
I love that. I love that answer so much. Like, what are you gonna do if Google says you can't access their website? Well, hang on a second, Andrew. The content that people make on Google, it's not Google's content. It's the people's content, and we're just summarizing the people's content. That's the best. You know what? I started off saying that she's robotic, but she's actually like she's a beast. She's an absolute tank. I love it. I love it.
Either gold rush, it's either a gold rush or a sugar rush. Mm-hmm. And how long you think that build out really lasts? Because it may take several hundred people to build a data center, but it only takes 5 or 10 to operate it.
I think we are so in the early inning. I think a lot of prognosticators want to call it like we're on the sugar rush. We're not. It's more like the railroads or the build out of electricity.
I kind of like her saying, though, that the railroad is like, we're living right now in the same time as the cowboys in the Wild Wild West when the railroad was getting built out. Because if you look around, we were promised flying cars and all we got was the ability to afterpay Happy Meals. If she's saying it's the railroad, like I'm with her. I'm with you, Sarah Friar. I'm with you. I'm on your team.
Than anything I've seen. The internet, it turns out in hindsight, was actually a relatively capex light build out.
The internet was a capex light build out. Water is not wet, Andrew, actually.
And so I think we are just getting started. Now we have to do a lot to figure out how to make data centers more efficient, to think about new ways to power them. But in terms of AI, it is voracious right now for GPUs and for compute. The biggest thing we face is being constantly under compute. That's why we launched Stargate. That's why we're doing the bigger builds, as you see, with Microsoft, but with Oracle, CoreWeave, and so on.
I saw a rumor on Twitter, probably completely untrue, but some guy said he was hanging out with some guy in San Francisco who worked at OpenAI. And the reason that Meta's been giving these massive multi-million-dollar contracts to try to steal OpenAI engineers is that the people who work there have access to these like super high-end swanky models that we just don't have the GPU processing power. OpenAI doesn't have the GPU processing power to like put it out to the masses, but these people who work there have it, and they're just using it to stock trade options and are making so much money that Meta has to make it like financially worth their while to stop this stock trading thing and go work for them. That is probably completely untrue, but there is this concept that internally at OpenAI, they do have access to the sweet models that we don't get because it's so compute intensive to distribute that to the entire world effectively. I'm Calvin Caracciolo. Thank you for watching. That was a fun. I'm keeping an eye on this one. Sarah Friar is a tank. That was a fun video. See ya.